Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Reel. I'm your host, John, and today we've got another Humminbird video for you guys. If you're interested in learning more about Humminbird units, then make sure you check out the Humminbird playlist. We've put all that stuff together for you over there. Make sure you stay tuned to the channel for more videos just like this one. But today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about all of my favorite options and shortcuts on the Humminbird Helix unit. So this is not all of the options or all of the shortcuts that are available on the Humminbird Helix, but these are the ones that I find most useful and that I find myself using on a daily basis. So if you're interested in learning more, make sure you stay tuned to this video. Alright guys, here we are. We have the Humminbird Helix 9. This is the mega side imaging, and this is a G3N model. Guys, the G4N is going to be exactly the same. You're going to be able to use the same button configurations. You're going to have the same options. Everything that we are going to talk about here today is going to be completely identical. So if you have the G4N model, it's going to be exactly the same. Power up your units for me if you guys are following along with me on this video, and we're just going to get right to it. I've got my unit powered up here. I'll show you a couple quick shortcut options. I did just use one right before this video, and what I used it for was to dim the backlight. And the reason I did that was just to help you guys be able to see the screen a little bit better. But I'll show you what I did. I did a short press on the power key here. So normally this is going to be how you turn the unit on and off. This is going to be the very bottom right hand button. It's got the universal power sign on there. Instead of holding it like you would if you were powering the unit on or off, you're just going to press it, okay? And you see it popped up this shortcut menu here. We've got Sonar, we can turn it on or off. We've got our light, which we can dim manually, or we can just straight up go over to night mode, which is what I've done. You can see that night mode is on. So if I want to turn it off, it'll just turn our light all the way up to 10. If I want to turn our night mode on, brings us down to 6. But you can go up here if you want it even dimmer. Is dimmer a word? I don't know. But you see that there. 360 pinging, so we can actually turn our 360 transducer on and off essentially. And then standby mode, if we want to do that, that is going to basically kill the screen here. If you look close enough, you can see that you are still on whatever screen that you left off on, and you also can see that these buttons are still lit up. But let's say that you're going to run to another spot or something like that. This is just going to decrease rather the amount of voltage that your unit is pulling from your battery. So just if you're trying to preserve your battery life, this is a great option to use when your units are not in use at that moment in time. So if you want to basically take it off standby mode, you press your power button and then your screen is back up and rolling here. So that is one shortcut key, power button. Make sure you guys use that one. It is something that you will use quite often. Another one here is the views button, and instead of a short press, this time it's going to be a long. So hold that down and you'll see you have your quick options here for Sonar, chart, and system. So if you want to go over to Sonar, and guys, if you aren't familiar with the Helix units, basically you're going to be making your selections with the directional pad, and if you see the arrow pointed to the right, that means you press the right arrow key and you will make that selection. So we went over to our quick option Sonar, and then it pulled up all of our Sonar options here. If I want to view 2D, I just press on the right directional pad here and it'll pull up my 2D. That'll keep you from having to scroll through the views tab. I'll show you guys exactly what I mean just in case you're not familiar with it. But basically this will allow you to go through all of the options, including 360, side imaging, down imaging, and all of the combinations that you have available. And then if you want to go back, you're just going to press the exit button. So we can go down here and go to chart, and then we have all of our different chart views, including the Sonar chart combos, such as 360 and chart view. Okay, so as you can see, I do not have my 360 transducer plugged in, so it's not going to show us the actual sonar pinging here, and I'm inside of my garage, so we really don't get much for the chart, but you get the idea. All right, long press the views button, go down to system, and this is going to be something that I use if I want to maybe see what software version I'm running, or see what kind of voltage I'm getting, or maybe see the connected accessories in the network here. System status, and then you'll be able to see 13.1 volts. I've got 316 hours. I'm running version 2.280. Definitely need to get updated there. We've got serial numbers. And then we've got the model, which is going to be the Helix 9 Chirp Mega SI Plus GPS G3N. So there's some information here under system status that may be helpful. And then you also have some other options. Diagnostic view, this is for your GPS. You've got accessory test. And then your snapshot and recording view is where if you have taken screenshots, then you can view those through here. And if you guys want to know how to take a screenshot, you can do it by long pressing this mark button. As you can see, successfully saved, and that is how you take a screenshot. So as you can see, I took some screenshots of some brush piles that I marked. Okay, so that goes over the shortcut that you can access from long pressing the views button there. So that's our views shortcut. And if you want to just back out of that, let's say you are on your screen here, you're viewing charts and you're viewing 360, and you just want to scroll through to, you know, maybe 2D and 360. Then what you can do to get there, if you don't have one, if you don't have it saved under your shortcut keys here, you can use your views button to just scroll through. And if you do that, you have to go through all of the views that you have visible. So just to show you guys what I mean by that is if you access your main menu button, which you do by menu, and we've gone over that before, but some of you guys haven't seen these videos before. So menu, in order to access your main menu, you press the menu button twice. Okay, so then you scroll over to your views tab here, and then this will show you all of the views that are visible. So if you don't want the big digits view, you just go over, use your directional pad to hide it. So this one is hidden, this one is visible. And some of them are going to be duplicates, guys. So you're going to have a DI and a 2D, and then you're going to have a 2D and a DI. So you can go through and you can hide one or the other, and you can really narrow down the views that you're actually going to use. If there are some views on here that you just never use, like I would never probably use a chart combo. For what I do, I just don't use it. Maybe some of you guys do. I don't. I'm going to go through and I'm going to hide it. That way, I'm going to narrow it down to maybe 10 different screens that I use on a regular basis. So if I do have to scroll through using my views button, I don't have to sit here and press the views button 30 times. So go through that views tab there, hide all the ones that you don't use, and then if you want to be able to search through all the options, you can do it using your views button. Or you can go through, long press the views button, go to Sonar, and select it this way. So you have a couple different options there. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to go through is we're just going to go through the main menu, and I'll show you guys the options that I use most frequently, or maybe some common troubleshooting steps that you might take if you do find yourself in a situation where something's not working right. I'll show you a couple things that have helped get me through some issues out on the water. If you look over here, you see the alarms tab. To be honest with you, I don't ever use that, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. We've got the Sonar tab right here. Connected transducer. This is one that I do want to talk about real quick here because this can be important. I've had people ask me or tell me that they're having issues with, receiving certain sonar information from their transducer, whether that's a 2D down side imaging transducer or the Mega 360. Make sure you have the correct transducer selected here. You've got several different options. If you're running a Mega 360, you may just be running the Mega 360, or you may have, a 2D transducer connected with it as well, or it might be an MDI transducer connected with it, or it could be the built-in MDI transducer that's built into your trolling motor plus the Mega 360. So there's a lot of different options there. You really need to make sure that you have the right one selected, or you may not receive all of the information that you're expecting. Okay guys, here is the navigation tab. This is going to be the next one over from the sonar tab here. And I will say that the first thing that I would like to talk about here is your waypoints, routes, and tracks. This is where they're going to be stored. If you do want to take the routes or the waypoints over to another unit, save them on an SD card, this is going to be where you will do that. Let's go back. We're going to go menu, and we're going to go back down through here. Casting rings, that is another thing that I do use. I haven't been using it recently, but it is something that has come in handy for me in the past. And what you can do is you can just put a circle around all of your waypoints, and you can determine how big that circle is. So it's really nice for marking a brush pile or a piece of structure that you want to go fish. And then when you bring your boat up close to it, you can stay off of it and make casts at it, and it just helps you not to, blow the fish off of that spot. That is something that I would highly recommend using if you do not already. All right, next we're going to go over here to the chart tab. And the first thing that I want to point out is the map source. You do have a couple different options here, as you can see. And honestly, guys, I'll tell you that I just use auto. I put my map card in there and it reads it, and I don't ever have any issues, so I just leave it on auto. But you can go with the Contour XD or the Humminbird Legacy, the Humminbird base map. I really don't see a need for selecting these, to be quite honest with you. I always just leave it on auto. If you put a Navionics chip in here, it'll recognize a Navionics versus a LakeMaster, so shouldn't have any issues there. Chart orientation, this is one, definitely personal preference. I am a head-up guy. I cannot stand the north up. The north up just drives me crazy. It really confuses me. If I go head up, then basically where your boat icon is pointed on the chart. So when you have your charts pulled up, if you're sitting on a main lake point and the nose of your boat is pointed at the main lake point, it's going to look like that on the chart. And you're not always going to have north up, right? So if you're facing east, then east is going to be facing forward. So it really just helps me it helps me keep in line with where I'm at. It helps me figure out, where these contours are, which way I'm facing. So I don't know, for you guys, it may be totally different, but this is definitely a personal preference thing here. Okay, the next thing that I want to mention, and I'm only going to mention it very briefly because I have gone over this in great detail in another video. I will go ahead and put that in the cards above, so if you guys want to check that out, definitely do so. This is the Humminbird chart tab. You do have the shallow water highlight, as you can see here. You can determine what depth you're highlighting. You've got highlight number 1, and then you also have... So you've got your highlight number 1 minimum and your highlight number 1 max. And then you also have your depth contours. You can go here and determine the different color palettes essentially that you have there. You also have water level offset. So if your lake levels are low or high, you can make that adjustment here. So all of the contour lines on your lake will adjust by 4 feet. And then now that when you look at your map that it is accurate. If you're sitting in 20 feet of water, your lake says you're sitting in 16, make the 4-foot adjustment, and then you're good to go. The next tab we have is the setup. You know, some of these are pretty self-explanatory. You can go to restore defaults. This is one of them, guys, that I have used time and time again. If my unit for some reason isn't displaying a certain, you know, frequency, or I'm having an issue with it not working quite properly, this restore defaults is one that I have relied on, and it has worked for me several times. So guys, definitely restore defaults is one that you want to use. I did skip over this user mode. As you can see, I'm in custom right now. You do also have angler mode, and I don't know if you can tell, but this is the last option I have when I'm in angler mode. And if I switch over to custom, you can see that I have more options even on this screen right here. And that is essentially what custom mode is going to do. It's going to give you more options. It's going to allow you to fine-tune your settings quite a bit more. And one of those settings is going to be in your sonar settings when you're trying to fine-tune your sharpness and your contrast. There's a couple more options that you have in there. Now, as you guys saw earlier, we did have a shortcut to get to turn the sonar on and off, but this is where you're going to see it in the regular menu under your setup options here. Sound control. You know what, guys? This is probably my favorite option. The entire unit. This is probably my favorite option because, as you can see, I have it on no sounds. So this is your sound control. If I turn the sounds on, you guys are going to hear it, and it's going to drive you crazy. I'm going to make sure of it. Every time you hit a button, it's going to make this stupid chirping sound. And I don't know about you, but it gets on my nerves, you know, and I have played with my units, you know, here in the garage or sitting at my desk at work, and it drives everybody else around me crazy if I have the sounds on. So I don't know if it's getting on your nerves yet. But this is what it sounds like if you're just trying to go through your unit and make adjustments. So guys, I'm going to go ahead and use this opportunity to show you guys how to get to the main menu. We're going to hit the menu button twice. Alright, now we're on the setup tab. We're going to scroll down here. Sound control, no sounds. Guys, this is my favorite option on the entire unit. I know it sounds cheesy, but it's true. Here's your views tab. We really already went over that, and you can see all the hidden invisible views there. And then now you see the accessories. Guys, if you're running the Mega 360, you're going to want to go over here to your accessories tab, Mega 360 settings, and you want your navigation on 360 to be on. This is what's going to allow you to mark waypoints using your Mega 360. So you've also got the other options as well on here, including your frequency, your boat icon, and your range overlay. So here's your Mega 360 settings. This is probably the most important one to note. Navigation has to be on, or you're not going to be able to mark waypoints. If you're trying to figure out how to mark waypoints on your Mega 360 and you have a heading sensor, or you're using the heading sensor that's built into your iPilot Link trolling motor, this setting has to be on. Very important. Under accessories, you've also got Bluetooth settings. You can link with your Talons or your Raptors, or your wireless remote. So this is something that we also did go over in another video. You will have to use your Bluetooth in order to pair it with your phone and do a software update through the Humminbird Fish Smart app. So that is something that I will also post in the cards above, so you guys can check that video out if you haven't already. But guys, this is pretty much going to do it for the settings out the box. You know, some of my most favorite, some of my most used settings. This is it. Alright guys, that concludes today's video. This was my favorite options and settings on the Humminbird Helix unit. And I appreciate you guys watching. Again, I just want to reiterate, this was not all of the options, all of the settings. that the Helix unit has to offer. There are quite a few things that you can do on a Humminbird Helix unit that I did not mention today. So we will be doing more videos in the future. If you would have liked to seen me cover something in this video that I did not already, go ahead and drop a comment for me. I would love to see your feedback. I would love to hear about the future videos that you guys want to watch, because that's what I'm here to do, is to provide content that is useful for you guys. And you know, also, if there was a setting that maybe I left out that you guys are constantly using on the water, if there's something that I missed that you guys are using, if I didn't put it in this video, I'm probably not using it. So you might be able to help me out, help me be more efficient on the water as well, because a lot of these settings that I talked about today are just helping me be more efficient on the water. So, you know, I don't want to be fooling around with this unit the whole time that I'm out there on the water. I'd rather be casting. So if you guys can help me be more efficient, I'm all ears. Guys, make sure you tune in to all of my videos in the future. Hit that notifications bell if you haven't already, and definitely hit that subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. I'm trying to get to that 1,000 subscriber mark right now. Come a long way in the last year or so. If you guys are finding these videos useful, make sure you check out the Humminbird playlist that I have set aside, and that's going to be where all of our Humminbird videos are going to be. And then we also have a pretty cool podcast. I've had quite a few guests over the last year or so that I've been doing these podcasts, about 30 or so, and we're continuing to grow our portfolio as far as those podcasts go as well. So guys, I really do want to thank you for tuning into these videos, and we'll be putting out more content in the future. Make sure you stay tuned, and until then, we'll see you on the water.